Okay, I figured I'd do more of a proper video. So, for years, starting with I think the S10 and the Note 10 Plus, all the way through the S20 Plus, not the Pro, not the baby S20, just the Plus, or the Pro has it too. I think, don't remember. Samsung has included an infrared time of flight sensor that they normally use for their bokeh and effects with the camera. But this is essentially what you would get out of like a Connect V1 in the palm of your hand. And for the longest time, the one application to kind of do this is called 3D Live Scanner. And it goes in with Google's ARCore, and it can do depth scanning with just ARCore and your camera data. But if you've got the depth sensor, you can do the full RGBD scanning. And this allowed you to, let's see, what's an already exported model that looks bigger? Yeah, whatever, this one. And so I could scan an area. This is just a basic example. I didn't really move around. You could scan an area and it would generate via the point cloud and the camera data a meshed surface for you to export as a 3D model. And while iPhones have had LiDAR and iPads, and there's been a lot of developer focus on the Apple side for things using that scanner, this was the only application we had outside of Samsung's official AR doodles and toys, essentially. This was the only real-time simultaneous location and mapping SLAM data recorder that we had. On the desktop side, the de facto for open source real-time SLAM has been RTAB-Map. And this has been around for forever, 10 plus years now. Back on the original Connect and even before that with the Intel RealSense. And it supports a ton of cameras. You plug it into your computer. You can do just stereo, but you've got to like calibrate it with a known checkerboard pattern. Or you can do the RGBD with a Connect V1, V2. Connect V2 is fantastic with RTAB-Map. And around 2016, Google, when they started putting depth sensors in phones, called it Project Tango. And it was only in very few devices like Lenovo Fab, Zenfone AR, and like a few others. But it was very limited. And never really took off. And Samsung including it was just a nicety, but they didn't have to, and they removed it after the S20 Plus. It is not in any of their current flagships, or even, it was in the A devices as well. So Android side, compared to iPhone, has had very little developer attention. And so the RTAB-Map released a version for those Tango devices from like 2016 to 2019. But it never worked for the newer ARCore depth on the Samsung devices or Hawaii or LG. Like there's a bunch with ARCore that also have a depth sensor. Well, I say a bunch. There's about a list of 200 plus phones with ARCore support, and there's like 5 with a depth sensor. So it's relatively not a lot. But they've seemingly never updated it to support ARCore and the depth sensor. I just now learned, as of tonight, that since at least about 2019, 2021, they have. RTAB-Map doesn't advertise it. RTAB-Map doesn't put the ARCore on their normal GitHub releases. They don't put a page out saying, hey, here's some builds you can try if you have a phone with a depth sensor. But they have Docker images. And you think, oh, okay, you download the Docker image, you compile it manually, and you can, no. The pre-compiled APK comes from a Docker CI, but you have to download the entire Docker image to get it. So you just download the Docker image, you run it, it doesn't compile anything, you just run it to populate the image, and you copy the APK out of it. Okay, I wish I'd known about this sooner. Very obtuse, but it works. You get pretty much the options you would expect out of the desktop version. Just here, you get your camera selection, which in this case it's the API you're choosing essentially. You can choose your density, you can choose your max depth, you can choose your minimum depth. So, for example, if you wanted to bring your max depth in a lot, you could do like object scanning on a Lazy Susan, and since the object is the only thing that it sees in air quotes via the infrared, it'll just scan that. Point size, mesh. You get some options for mapping. You can do a bunch here, but so let's just get out of here and start a new scan. And first you get a visualization of what you would be capturing. Like this is the point data you would be getting overlaid with your camera, so you get a good view of it. And you hit record, and it starts capturing those points with the associated color. And I can just go around. This is a little dark, but it still captures okay. Go around, you can kind of see once it like commits that point to memory, it gets a little bit darker. It starts overlapping itself. This has the loop closure detection from the desktop version, so if you come around to some place you've already been, sometimes it'll say, very excitingly, loop closure detected. Very nice, that's good. It means it found some existing points that it already knew about. And you can scan away. The 3D Live Scanner is much more fire and go, which is nice. This, you've got to work for your results, but there's so many options that it's just much more powerful in that regard. And so it sees that it's been here before, sees that it's been here before. This is a little too dark to capture, but we'll see if we can get it. Yep, think we got it. So I can move over here. I can move this way. I can get the other side of this. And this is mainly working because of the depth sensor. If you don't have it, unlike the other application that will work off of just ARCore, this won't do just ARCore. You have to have the depth sensor to get any 3D model out of it. Well, according to what the settings say, I don't know if things have changed or something supports what. So now we can hit stop. Optimize it now, sure. And so this is just, and so that line was it keeping track of the phone based off of purely the depth and the camera data. There's extra ARCore localization you can do, but I disabled it because it seemed to really slow down the scan when I tried. And so it saves this data. Takes a second. And it shows you your used RAM and your free RAM, which is nice. It's good to have a 12 gigabyte RAM phone. Helps a lot there. And we just wait for this to finish exporting. Shouldn't be too long. There we go. It'll ask me to save the database. Oh, and that's the nice thing. These databases of like the raw depth data and the images, I can send that to another computer. I can load that up in the desktop version of RTAB-Map. But now we have the scan just based off of me walking around. It's like, it's not perfect. There's a lot of variables I can fine tune. But just to have that amount of power right there with you, all local processing, nothing, no cloud bullshit, cloud AI enhanced bullshit, just pure processing and hardware power. And I love that. And if you tap here, you can export it as a 3D model. And so I can load that up in Blender or anything else. And it's just beautiful. Like this is an absolute joy to see. Yeah, so you can see your point cloud. Well, that's wireframe. You can actually change the view to thought you could change the view to point cloud. Maybe not. Oh, okay, that is the point cloud technically. You can change it to mesh. Oh, hold on. I gotta go back. This is the visualization. We gotta change it back. Okay. Now we can change it to mesh. Textured mesh gets a little bit slower, but yeah. So normally that visualization on the desktop is like a pop-up window on top. So here, because of the limited size, it's just an overlay. But yeah, and then I can close this out. I can go in, I can view my existing library, what I already scanned, say, hey, I want to load this. I want to load this, boom. Oh, it's chef's kiss. So that's about it. Goodbye.